The world of boxing had been waiting for this moment. Two giants from different paths finally colliding in one ring. On one side, Canelo Alvarez, the pride of Mexico, the man who had conquered divisions and silenced doubters with power, patience, and relentless pressure. On the other, Terence "Bud" Crawford, the undefeated technician from Omaha, Nebraska, a fighter so precise, so sharp that even the best in the world looked ordinary against him. Netflix cameras followed every move. Canelo trained in San Diego, pounding the heavy bag, his sweat dripping. His trainer Eddie Reynoso called for more discipline, more focus. Every sparring partner was chosen to test him, to push him, but Canelo always walked them down, breaking them with combinations, ending every round with that calm, unshakable confidence. Meanwhile, in Omaha, Crawford's camp was different. There was no noise, no circus. Just sharp movements, tape study, and endless drills. Brian "Bomac" McIntyre kept reminding him, "We're not just training for Canelo, we're training to shock the world." Crawford's focus was absolute. He studied Canelo's smallest habits, his faint shoulder rolls, the way he set traps, every tiny detail that could be turned into an opening. The fight was more than belts, more than money. For Canelo, it was pride, proving that no slick technician could stand against his pressure. For Crawford, it was the ultimate dare, moving up in weight to take on the Mexican icon, to show that greatness could not be measured by size. Las Vegas was alive with the buzz of the event. Billboards lit up the Strip with their faces. Tickets sold out in hours. Fans from Mexico, Omaha, and all around the world poured into the city, ready to witness history. Social media became a battlefield, Team Canelo against Team Crawford, every post, every training clip sparking debates and predictions. The Netflix Countdown series had captured every angle. Canelo's rise from the streets of Guadalajara, Crawford's journey through Omaha's gyms, the tense negotiations, the contracts finally signed, and now the training grind. The whole world was hooked, watching as the days ticked down to fight night. In interviews, legends gave their thoughts. Mike Tyson, staring straight into the camera, said, "This fight, man, this fight is about greatness colliding. Canelo is a tank, but Crawford, he's slick, he's dangerous. When they meet, it's like a storm hitting a mountain." Joe Rogan on his podcast leaned into the mic and said, "This isn't just boxing, this is mythology. You've got a gladiator in Canelo, an assassin in Crawford. When they step in that ring, dude, it's cosmic, everywhere anticipation built." The fight was billed as the biggest of the century, the kind that makes history books. Fans argued in gyms, bars, and living rooms about who would win. Analysts couldn't agree. Some swore Canelo's size and power would crush Crawford, others believed Crawford's IQ and precision would outclass the Mexican champion. For both men, everything was on the line. Legacy, pride, immortality. It was the final day of training camp. The countdown to the fight had reached its last hours. Crawford had been sharp all week, his sparring crisp, his movement fast, his confidence glowing. The camp in Omaha was filled with energy, everyone could feel history was only days away. That morning, cameras followed him as he laced up his gloves. He looked calm, focused, almost unshakable. His kids were around laughing, and his team tried to keep the mood light. "One more day," Champ Bomac told him. "Just one more day and then we make history." Inside the gym, the session began like any other. Crawford shadowboxed, gliding across the ring with that slick southpaw rhythm, switching stances, firing jabs. The cameras zoomed in on his eyes, cold, determined, locked on the vision of Canelo Alvarez standing across from him in the ring. But then came the moment no one expected. During a routine movement, a slip, a twist, maybe just the wrong step, something snapped. Crawford winced. He stopped. His face told the story before anyone else noticed. He tried to shake it off, bouncing on his toes, but pain shot through his leg. The gym went silent. Bomac rushed over. "You good, bud?" Crawford tried to nod, but the cameras caught it, his jaw tightening, his hand reaching down. He couldn't hide it. Trainers pulled him to the side. The music stopped, the sound of gloves hitting bags faded, and all you could hear was Crawford's heavy breathing and the whispers in the gym. Word spread instantly. The crew from Netflix froze, unsure whether to film or shut the cameras down. The atmosphere turned heavy. Everyone knew this wasn't just a small tweak. This was serious. The biggest fight of his career, and something had just gone wrong at the worst possible moment. Doctors were called in. Crawford sat with ice on his legs, staring at the floor. He didn't speak much. For a man who had never shown weakness, never cracked under pressure, the silence said everything. The team around him tried to stay calm, but panic was in their eyes. Outside fans had no idea yet. Social media was buzzing about open workouts, press conferences, and predictions. No one knew that inside that Omaha gym history was shifting. Canelo, training in San Diego, finished his own workout that same day with fire in his punches. He had no clue what had just happened across the country. For him, the fight was still on. For Crawford, the biggest question of his career had just appeared. Could he even make it to the ring? The Netflix cameras captured it all. A fighter at the peak of greatness suddenly facing the cruel hand of fate. One wrong step and the biggest night of his life now hung in the balance. The news didn't stay inside the Omaha gym for long. By evening, whispers had turned into headlines. Reporters close to the camp started posting cryptic tweets. Something may have happened to Crawford. Fans brushed it off at first, thinking it was just hype. But soon it became official. The story broke. Terence "Bud" Crawford injured on the final day of training camp. Boxing forums exploded. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everyone was talking about it. Is the fight cancelled? Will Canelo still have an opponent? How bad is it? Questions flooded the internet, but there were no clear answers yet. Outside Crawford's gym, media vans lined up. Photographers waited, hoping to catch a glimpse. His team stayed tight-lipped, refusing to confirm details. Inside, Bud sat quietly, his leg wrapped ice pressed tight. He didn't say a word to cameras, but his silence spoke louder than anything. Then came the moment that shook the boxing world even more: Mike Tyson's reaction. Iron Mike was live on a podcast when the news reached him. The host leaned over, whispering, "Mike, they're saying Crawford might be injured." Final day of camp. Tyson leaned back in his chair, eyes wide. He shook his head slowly, almost in disbelief. "Man, that's heartbreaking," he said, his voice heavy. "You train your whole life for nights like this. And sometimes the body just betrays you." The room fell quiet. Tyson, a man who knew more about the brutality of boxing than almost anyone, looked genuinely hurt. He continued, "Crawford's a warrior, man. He's got that dog in him. But when you get injured before the biggest fight of your life, it's like the universe testing you. I just hope it's not too bad. I hope he can heal. Because the world needs to see him and Canelo go to war. That's a fight for history." Clips of Tyson's words spread instantly. Fans shared them everywhere. Iron Mike speaks on Crawford injury. His raw emotion made the situation feel even more real. Meanwhile, promoters, networks, and even Canelo's camp were scrambling. The fight was supposed to be one of the biggest events of the decade. Now everything was hanging by a thread. For the first time, doubt entered the conversation. Would Crawford make it? Or was the dream fight slipping away before it even began? The world waited for answers. Outside the Omaha gym, cameras flashed. Reporters called it the longest night in boxing. Inside, Crawford's team stayed quiet, but everyone knew he had gone to the hospital for scans. The next morning, official doctors' reports started to leak. Words like strain, tear, and uncertain recovery time floated through the media. But nothing was confirmed. Fans checked their phones every 5 minutes, desperate for news. Finally, late that afternoon, Crawford's camp released a short statement. It was just one page, but it hit the world like thunder. Terence Crawford sustained an injury during his final day of training. At this time, his medical team is evaluating the severity. As of now, his fight with Canelo Alvarez is postponed until further notice. The word postponed echoed everywhere. Social media exploded again. Some fans were devastated, others hopeful. At least it's not cancelled, many said. Promoters scrambled to find new dates. Networks announced they would honor tickets and PPV orders whenever the fight was rescheduled. Canelo Alvarez gave a short statement too: "I trained hard and I was ready. But health comes first. I hope Bud recovers soon because this fight must happen." For the fans, for history, it was respectful, but underneath you could sense his fire. He wanted Crawford, not anyone else. As for Crawford, he didn't appear in front of cameras. He stayed quiet, healing, thinking. For a man who built his entire career on discipline and toughness, this was the toughest opponent yet. His own body to eye. In the days that followed, clips of Mike Tyson's emotional reaction and Joe Rogan's worried podcast replayed endlessly. Fans debated in forums, made predictions, and argued whether the fight would ever happen, and then slowly the noise began to fade. The world had no choice but to wait. The Netflix cameras that had followed Crawford's camp now had a new story, not just of a fight but of a man battling time, injury, and fate. The documentary would end this chapter with one final shot: Crawford sitting alone in the gym, wrapping his leg in ice, staring at the ring. His eyes didn't look defeated. They looked patient, burning, waiting. The fight was not gone. Only delayed, and so the story closed not with an ending but with a promise: Crawford vs. Canelo was not finished. It was only waiting for the right night when both warriors could finally step into the ring and settle history.